Welcome, everyone, to my Open Topic Talk Sunday show. I'm James P. Madonna, your host, and I'm going to bring you my illustrious co-host here, the one and only, the Commodore Jeff Zambello. Let me pipe him aboard. Arr, arr. Welcome aboard the pirate ship. Um,
The good ship Lollipop.
the good ship Lollipop. Yeah, right. Uh, you know, life throws many knuckleballs. Let's put it that way. And you never know what the knuckleball is going to do when it reaches the plate. If it's thrown by somebody that knows how to throw it, unfortunately,
Oh shit! The Guardians are 5-4 now. Fuck.
who's pitching? Some ham and egger?
Hmm.
Who's pitching for the
I
Yankees?
can't tell. I just
Yeah.
because I'm on the computer, but
Yeah, I know you're working, and
fuck.
but anyway, I just want to remind everyone. Well, it is the middle already. It is the end of the second week of April, 2024, and yes, it is spring, and it's becoming more springy. The weather is getting milder, and I'm waiting. The daffodils are out already, but I'm waiting for the tulips and the.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
Hold on.
Can you do that in kazoo? Do do do.
Yeah. The late Tiny Tim,
Yep.
who slept in separate beds with his wife, Miss Vicky. I remember. Mrs. Vicky, oh, maybe Miss Vicky, we slept in separate beds. But let me have a sip of my organic Peruvian dark roast Chachamayo coffee.
Where'd you get that? At Trader Joe's?
No, this supermarket chain called Acme.
Oh.
Yeah, they have a lot of organic foods now, and it just so happens that the best teas I've ever seen, organic teas, are from Canada. The ones in the United States have cheap filler in it, which doesn't surprise me. But what I do, I make my elixir earlier, which is the coffee, the organic coffee, with a teaspoon of Trader Joe's organic cocoa powder and a tablespoon of organic dried sugarcane crystals and a scoop of organic moringa powder, which is probably the most densely nutritious food on the planet. It even surpasses spirulina, and I that is my elixir. That's how I usually start the day. I flood my bloodstream with nutrients. Let me remove the sound from my phone. And then I also take optimal antioxidants. The strongest antioxidant known to man is it's a carotenoid called astaxanthin, which is found in the cold water, the cold far North Atlantic and north and near Antarctica. Also, is found in cold marine environment. And
is it a plant?
What happened is it first occurs in an algae, which is the way they're harvesting it now, a marine algae. But before, the more expensive way to harvest it,
there we go.
AST, right. So before, they were harvesting it from krill, which are tiny cold water shrimp, but it was more expensive to harvest the krill. But now they discovered that the krill are probably eating the marine algae, and that's how they get it. That's the pigmentation. It makes them bright orange. Now, this is from marine algae, and it comes in a soft gel. And I take the highest amount, 24 milligrams per day, and
Through the tulip.
it even blows away clove oil. Clove was on top for a long time, but not anymore. This nothing comes close to astaxanthin.
Yeah.
So I do, and I make sure I don't ingest any toxic lectins. Usually the nightshade family has them. Potato skins, tomato skins, eggplant skin, so on and so forth, and the skin of nuts, like the skin of almonds. They always recommend to soak if you have whole almonds, and that's the most reasonable way you can buy raw almonds. You soak them in water, and the skin will loosen up, and remove the skin, and just let them dry out without any skin, and they're fine. They're fine. Peanuts, same deal. Peanuts are high in lectins, most likely in the skin, but peanuts are not nuts. They're legumes. Yeah, they're in the bean family, and all beans can under no circumstances should you eat any beans raw. They're highly toxic. Do not
I didn't know
ever
that.
eat. That's why the old timers would soak the beans overnight or longer, rinse them really good before they cook them. And of course, they cook them. Yeah, no, beans. What a lectin is Mother Nature's defense of the plant kingdom. Like the plant is saying, gee, I don't want any animal to eat me. I don't want any animal to eat my seeds. So to prevent my species from reproducing. And that's that's Mother Nature's defense. And unfortunately, oats are high in lectin. That's why I rinse the oats in a colander by the kitchen sink. I rinse it until the water runs clear, and then I use the oatmeal. It should be fine after that. I'm not blaming the plants or Mother Nature. That's every creature, every living thing has their line of defense, and that's just the way it is. Our human body has an immune system. Now, people that have certain afflictions, like let's say cancer, certain people that have that, what they should really do is focus on detoxification and keep their fiber high, keep the vegetables that are colorful, eat more of that. Don't eat so much red meat. Try to really cut down on the red meat, and most of all, no sugar and no refined carbohydrates, which means no white flour, no white rice. Even milk has lactose in it. Carrots and tomatoes are to be used in moderation because they have sugar. Fruit, try your best to give fruit the boot, because fruit in the wild, before fruits were cultivated, fruits were consumed by animals that needed to fatten up for the winter season. And the sole purpose of fruit was to fatten up the animals for energy to have them survive winter when food was scarce, when their regular food was scarce. But fruit will really raise your blood sugar. Now, if you have to have it, you can have fruit high in nutrition like electrolyte, like figs and dates. and Turkish apricots, very high in bananas, but not bananas that get brown. Bananas that are yellow or yellow with green. Because once bananas start to get speckled, the sugar content skyrockets. So yeah. So fruit in moderation. Actually, remember when we used to talk about Nova Scotia dulse, the seaweed?
Yeah.
Dulse. That blows away. That blows away most foods in electrolytes. So for an athlete that needs
I just ordered some
astaxanthin.
astaxanthin.
It comes
Yeah, I
in
just
12
got that, the 12
milligram.
milligram one. I'm getting it by Tuesday,
Yeah,
April 16th on Amazon.ca.
I take two. I take two a day. I take two 12 milligrams a day, and it comes 120 soft gels. 120 soft gels. I did some research. I found the best bang for the buck, and this is 120 soft gels, 12 milligrams each. So, it come 12 milligrams and 24, and they both say take one. But if they're selling 24 milligrams, I said I want 24 milligrams. So I take two 12 milligram soft gels, and you have to take it with fat because it's fat soluble. Vitamin E is fat soluble. Vitamin A, coenzyme Q10, vitamin D is fat soluble.
Yeah.
And astaxanthin is fat soluble. So if you have any whole milk in the house or 2% milk, or if you're having a meal that has fat in it, like if you're eating a pork chop or something, that's a good time to take the astaxanthin because if a vitamin is fat soluble, it works much better in the environment of fat, and the body can utilize it. It can absorb it much better.
Who's Sid? Sid, Viagra works. I used some this morning. Awesome.
Yeah, he came on last night. He comes on every now and then. Now how long do you have to take Viagra before the blessed event? Does it require 30 minutes, 15 minutes? I've never partook, so I don't know. Then I kick the bitch out since she talks too much. Well, don't they all? They when they talk, it'd be nice. Look, even if they're chatterboxes with nonsense and positive, it could be any nonsense. You get nervous, right? You want to relax. You don't want to hear. But if she's talking a lot, complaining, and pointing the finger at you like everything is your fault in her life, that's bad. Because it's a psychological proven fact that happiness has to come from within you, not from an external source. Nobody can make another person happy.
That's right.
You gotta find your own self-esteem and your own happiness, and don't give validation to them. Once you start, giving them compliments and getting all lovey-dovey and romantic, they what happens? Their ego swells up, and then you're not a challenge anymore. Then they treat you like a simp, like a wimp, and they start taking advantage of you, and they lose respect. That's why they like the bad boys, because the bad boys are a challenge to the woman. Okay, I take the blue pill an hour before the bitch gets what she needs. Well, you get what you need too.
That's funny.
shake. Remember the disco song? Shake it up, shake it down, move it in, move it around, disco lady. Move it in, move it out, shove it in, roundabout, disco lady. Yeah, that was an old song. Then there was Push Push in the Bush by these three tall black girls, Musique. Yeah, Push Push in the Bush. I wish I could play these songs, but I can't because YouTube will take my show right off the air. You know, yeah, it's copyright. So it takes an hour for it to kick in. Now, do you have any experience, Sid, with Cialis, or do you have a preference? Yeah, because what they do, you know, what Cialis and Viagra do is it increases your nitric oxide, and it's the nitric oxide that creates the blood flow into the chambers of the penis and causes the erection to take place. It's nitric oxide, and that's what Viagra does. And my urologist told me everybody thinks it's testosterone. No. Testosterone helps with your sex drive, but it's the nitric oxide production that creates the erection. And that's what the drug does. So if you had any experience with Cialis, please share it with everyone on the show. That would be appreciated.
More. How do you like it? How do you like it? More.
How do you like my love? How do you like it? How do you like
Another
it?
Club 54 classic.
Oh, yeah, Studio
54.
54.
Sorry.
And back then there was a swingers club in New York called Plato's Retreat.
Yeah. I heard about that. I forgot about that one.
Now on Monday, I was there once. On Monday, you don't have to bring a girl. You know, guys could go in there without a girl, and you know, you never know it's there. It looked like an abandoned huge warehouse, and you hear the music coming through the brick wall. Boom, 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 boom. And they had like a little awning, no sign, just the address number.
Sort of like a speakeasy.
Right, and you know, and you press the buzzer.
Yeah,
you know the buzzer.
1, 2, 3, boom, boom.
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe if the answer is no.
Oh, my sweetness. Meet me in the hallway. Oh, 5-5. It's a bomb of the ninth. 5-5.
Oh, it's 5-5 now.
Hold on, Yankees.
What was I saying? What was I saying? I digressed. I got sidetracked, like Frank Costanza used to say. I got sidetracked. What was I talking about? I talked about Viagra
and nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide. And then something led me to talk about knock 3 times on the ceiling. Oh, for God's sakes. This is what happens when I digress. Hey, Tommy Carroll. Greetings, JPM and the Commodore. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. Yeah, it's okay. What's been happening here is when I got up this morning, the sky was clear as can be, blue and clear. Then it got cloudy. Now the sun is out again. It just goes back and forth, you know, but it's nice. I mean, spring is definitely here. And I hope you're having a good weekend also, Tommy Carroll. You know, it's good to see you and Sid earlier in the day. So it's 5-5 now.
With 2 outs.
You know,
there's a man on second base.
The Guardian, the Cleveland Indians were were a 75-year-old team, and everybody was fine calling them the Cleveland Indians. And then with the political correctness and the bullshit, they changed the name to the Guardians, which is stupid. You know, they took that smiling Indian face.
Tomahawk Joe
with
or Tomahawk Pat?
No, Chief Wahoo, I think. I think his name was Chief Wahoo.
Yeah.
Something like that. They took him off. He had a big smiling grin on his face. It was cute.
Yeah.
You know, I was pissed when they did that. And you know what Guardians means?
Yeah, you're right. Chief Wahoo.
Chief Wahoo. The Guardian means there's a very old bridge in Cleveland with 2 statues on it, and they call them the Guardians.
Oh.
That's what they named it after. A couple statues on a bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the Washington Redskins, which is another old team, because Redskin is really not nice. It's not nice to call indigenous people Redskins, you know. But Indians, so what? Nobody had any bigoted thoughts about Native Americans in Cleveland. The fans of the Cleveland Indians had no negative racist thoughts in their mind. So, you know, they overdo stuff. Like if they see it down south, if there's a statue of Stonewall Jackson, they have to tear it down. I mean, or Robert E. Lee. You know, to me, it's history. To me, history is education for children. You know, it's a historic landmark, and it should be preserved and protected, and it should be, like I said, part of history and the education of history. So anyway, cutting to the chase to physical fitness. How was this past week?
I got my workouts in, but it was stressful. I lost an employee. We had to dismiss somebody, so I had to work extra to make up for it. And I had to write a job description so I could put an ad out to get a new employee.
So this employee, who wasn't a great help to the company, right? From what you...
They just couldn't get along with the other people. The person was loyal to me, but they couldn't get along with the other people.
Did you guys like analyze to see where the problem was
for months and months? There was a lot of warnings, written warnings, and everything else. It just.
But the other people being petty and unfair to this one individual, or was the one individual
conflict of person? Anyway, I don't want to talk about business on the thing here, but anyway, so that being said about my workouts, I got the workouts in. And so I'm better now. It is stressful, put it that way.
Yeah. And do you find the alternative exercises at the new gym to be getting easier for you?
Yeah. I always have a good workout. But I'm not doing extremely heavy stuff anymore because I could feel it in my older age now. And so I do moderate weight with excellent technique.
You mean the joints? You feel pain in your joints?
Yeah. And then my lower back and stuff. I don't want to do that. It's just age. I do a lot of miles on that back.
Well, yeah, you got to, you just got to. It's like in Cuba, I guess, because of the embargo, they don't have any new cars going into Cuba, so they take the late model cars and they just keep them going, keep maintaining them, and they're in immaculate condition. I mean, they have cars from the 1950s, 1960s, 70s, and they're in great condition, but they have no choice. So an older humanoid is like perpetuating like a late model car.
Yep. Yeah, they got cars from the 50s that are excellent shape. Like you said, James, it's beautiful. When you watch some documentaries and stuff, even the guy that committed suicide, the Anthony, whatever his name was. Yeah,
Anthony
he went to Cuba
Bourdain.
and it showed like all the old cars and everything. And
Well, you know what they reminded me of? In this area, I don't know if they still do it, but they had classic car shows where they would all meet at like a barbecue establishment or a famous hot dog landmark, and they would all, the parking lot will be loaded with everyone's classic car, and I swear you can eat off the engines. That's how immaculate these cars were. And they told me they have very low insurance policy on them, because the only time they take them out for a ride is when they go to the classic car show. They otherwise it stays in like a garage. It stays covered up in the garage because they're investments, right? So they're there and they're playing oldies music, you know, maybe doo-wop, and you know they're playing a lot of oldies music, and it brings a lot of people there. And of course, the establishment makes good money selling food and beverage. And I see how incredible these old classic cars are being maintained, and that is an example of what they do in Cuba. And to the reason why I mentioned it, of course, is that's how an older person can take care of their health and their body when it comes to physical fitness.
And it will heal. And there's certain things I'm doing to actually rehabilitate and strengthen my back, like the glute ham raise machine, and like doing long holds on I forget the name of it. We lean over and you keep your back straight. Anyways, it's like a hamstring machine, I forget. But anyways, so doing all kinds of stuff for time under tension. And then Jefferson lifts.
Oh, you don't like those because it jams your balls.
No, there's something called, I know what you're talking about. It's not that. The Jefferson lift is a lighter deadlift, but you only use your back, but light, and you actually go up on some blocks, so you got to reach way down. So it's strengthening your back. You're not doing 400 pounds. You might start with 25 pounds on each side and strengthen all the vertebrae. And then when you go down nice and slow. And the whole thing is to strengthen the muscles and the tissues around the vertebrae.
Oh, the spinal erectors that flank flank the spine. That's what the dips. I mean, not dips. What am I saying? That's what swinging between your legs with a kettlebell, or that hits the spinal erectors. And they say the best way to protect your lower back is to strengthen your abs. It's the very best way. And I've been doing planks with the wheel.
Oh yeah.
Which they don't do when you go to any videos demonstrating planks, you never see people doing it with the wheel. But this one article recommended it if you wanted to increase the challenge, the resistance of the plank, and you know, because you have to balance yourself on the wheel. Therefore, the plank is more effective. But I, in my opinion, I think the plank is doing much more for me than any crunches, leg raises, or sit-ups, or you know, and anything I've ever done for the abs. I mean, the plank is awesome. You know, and then a person, if they want, they can throw a lighter weight sandbag or Bulgarian bag over their upper back, you know, throw it up there and do planks with do resistance planks. Now sandbag is very versatile because they sell the empty bag. People can buy the empty bag itself, and they can fill it. They can go to Home Depot or whatever, Lowe's, and get some play sand or usually construction sand or play sand is cheap, very expensive. And it comes in like 40-pound sacks or so, and they could make it as heavy as they want. Unless somebody lives near a beach, which is very sandy, then of course,
I like
fill it with that.
Which is, of course, very sandy.
Yeah. They also have empty Bulgarian bags now too, which are very similar to the sandbag. Me, I just use a fucking duffel bag that I have. I got duffel bags in storage. I just took this black duffel bag, and I just put the play sand in there. And, I use that, but you would have to use lighter weight if you're doing a plank. You couldn't. I mean that's super duper advanced. If you're gonna throw friggin' 40 pounds, you can get hurt if you throw 40 pounds on your back and do a plank.
Right.
I wouldn't chance that unless you're exceptionally advanced with your abdominal muscles. But that's what now they call it the core. The whole midsection.
Esprit de corps.
Transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis,
wow.
Obliques. Obliques. That's the muscles of the midsection. The obliques being the side, but what people are not aware of is that when you tell people about abdominal exercises, they always think of very high volume for the abs. No, you treat the abs like any other muscle. You apply progressive resistance to abdominals. That's what makes the six-pack deeper, makes the ab muscles stick out more. It's when you strengthen the abs, okay, through progressive resistance. If you keep on doing abdominal exercises with super high volume, okay, then it becomes an aerobic exercise, and you're not getting the grooves, the separation and definition of the abs will not be as deep. Oh, Ethan. Oh, my friend. Oh, thank you, Ethan. Ethan, Beer and Vinyl Reviews. He is a classic vinyl record collector also, aside from doing craft beer reviewing. And do you frequent Eric Fraunfelter's Wild Card Wednesday sometimes, Ethan? Or are you a follower of Ronald J. Theriot? Honestly, I forgot. There's so many people involved in craft beer reviewing. I lose track. Let me just leave voice message too. Oh, I'm sorry. The audio didn't go through. Oh, I'm on my Sunday live stream show now, my dear. So, good morning to you and happy Monday to you. Okay. Okay, Ethan says, last night I did bench press and some curls. That's good. If you're doing bench press, are you doing bench press at home or in the gym? Because if you're doing it with a barbell, make sure don't leave the collars off. In case you get stuck and there's nobody to save you, you just you just tilt your torso from side to side, and you just let the plates go flying right off. You slide them right off. You know, or if you're doing a dumbbell bench press, just drop them straight down. You know, if you don't have a workout partner that you can trust, you know, a training partner. Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah, I've been getting the most results from the old Mike Mentzer heavy duty training system, where you do a warm up if you need it, one warm up, and then you do 6 to 10 repetitions to absolute failure, followed by a drop set or a rest pause. You rest for like 15 seconds and pick the weight up again, or you can do a drop set, a weight that's like about a third lighter, and you just continue working out. Home. Okay. Yeah. That, leave the collars off. Sid says he does squats over the bitch's head. You mean so you could teabag her? Yeah. In other words, you're naked and you're doing squats. And
That's funny.
And your scrotum. Yeah, they call that teabagging. And your scrotum is dipping into her mouth.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
No, we gotta continue our music. Tiptoe. I don't have a ukulele. Tiptoe through the tulips. I don't know all the lyrics. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe.
There is no. Oh, my sweetness. Dun, dun, dun. You to meet me in the hallway.
Oh, knock 3 times.
I walked a million miles for one of your smiles, my mammy.
Knock 3 times. Hey, we are streaming on YouTube and Twitter, and we have a reasonable amount of viewers now. Let's see. Ethan says, if you drink lighter beer, can you still exercise and keep a good weight? Yeah, why not? Well, hey, if you drink heavy duty dark craft beer, you can still keep a good weight. Just don't drink a whole case of beer. Don't drink in moderation. You know, a lot of these jabronis on these liquor shows, these liquor review shows, they go on and they give a review and then they get completely drunk on the show. You know, you do. I had Eric Thornfelter on my Saturday night show last night. It was excellent show. So anyway, he told me, I says, look, you're an outstanding reviewer. I really enjoy your reviews. And I told the same thing to Michael Goldsmith Hilton, who was on my show. I says, but if you're going to do a solo craft beer review video, you're going to go live. And you're not expecting a panel to appear on your show. And you're doing a solo. Do one review of one product, and that's it. Don't get another one, a second one, a third one, and end up drunk on the show.
It's funny.
Yeah. Like if you got, let's say you got a a New England IPA or a West Coast IPA, Sierra Nevada, whatever. And you got, what do you call, Founders, which is a great company. You got a Founders Oktoberfest Marson, or whatever. Do that review for that one product and end it. And then, the next time, do another one, do another review. Just don't get drunk, and you won't get a beer belly, because you are, even if you're eating a lot of good food, don't eat empty calories. Don't eat junk food. Eat healthy food. So, but you can eat a substantial amount of healthy food and protein, because you got to get at least 1/2 to 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. Okay, you need the raw materials to make muscle. Okay, and you'll be fine. I'm sorry I was long-winded. Well, have an occasional stout or porter or heavy IPA. I'm not saying you can't have any, but have one. Have one or two per week. You'll be fine if you're working out consistently. I'm not a fan of macro. I don't like any corporate chain macro beers because they're loaded with preservatives and chemicals, and besides, they give me a heartburn. If I drink a quality beer, craft beer, I don't get sick. The guy you had on last night was hammered. You're talking about Eric? You thought he was hammered? No, he was tired. Unless he was hammered. Maybe he was hammered. I don't know. But he wasn't. I could tell when Eric had too much to drink. He slurs. He slurs his speech. Okay. I want to show the Commodore. I want to bring up a video about, there's with in my opinion, feminism, man-hating feminism has brainwashed women today and caused them, and really directly sabotaged normal, straight, heterosexual relationships have been sabotaged by the brainwashing that they've done. And Sid would appreciate what I'm going to show. What's this? 83 degrees in Georgia. Oh, okay. My friend Gabriel Solias in Arizona has 90 degrees. Feels like summer. Summer. Oh, you typed an N instead of an M. That's okay. I know what you mean. All right, let me get this up. And these are girls that are nitpicky and demanding when it comes to men. But the question is, what do they bring to the table? Okay, let me know when it's up, because I think Sid and possibly Ethan and hey, Mr. Bart Robinson, my friend. Hey guys, just got done with the yard work, hitting the showers, then a cold Schlitz. Schnitz? Schlitz? Schlong? Schlitz is good for the schlong? Okay, I'm going to play, and you're going to get, you guys are going to.
Yeah, it's up. The video's up.
Yeah, all right.
So I think like the bigger question, because you have like these high standards for your man, right? Mm-hmm. What are you prepared to offer him?
Well, myself.
But like, what do you think that you, okay.
Man, I've seen that clip like a few times. I didn't think that I would laugh again. For some reason, silence, it just tickles me. And then the woman like who's asked the question, who's like gets that meaningless answer, is like flabbergasted. Well, I mean, like, okay. I guarantee for this woman here, it's the first time in her life that she's ever thought about it. Like, what would I have to offer a man? And that's why she's completely speechless. She doesn't know what to say. It's like the question broke her brain. You know, she's like, yeah, like I have high standards for men. He has to be this. He has to do this. So you ask her, so what are you willing to offer him in return? And it's like an error message in her brain. She doesn't understand. It doesn't compute. She's like, I'm a woman. I'm perfect. What is the question? What do you mean? I'm laughing, but in truth, the psychology behind it is actually pretty dark. This is what it reveals, is that for women, they believe themselves to be up here as a just default, like de facto, like I'm a woman, I'm amazing. But, you know, for a man, he has to, you know, earn his way up to being her equal, to be worthy of her. He has to be this, he has to do this, he has to perform in this way. And only then is, you know, he worthy of being in the same, you know, sentence as a woman. It's explain here, the worse it's going to seem. In this video, I'm going to explain relationships in a way that you've probably never heard before, but once you understand it, you're going to see why she had complete silence of being asked that question. And first of all, don't think for a moment that this woman is rare or some kind of exception. That silence that you saw, her being speechless, that's what most women are going to respond. I encourage you to go and try this out. Ask the women in your life. First, ask them, what does a man need to be, or what does a man need to do in order to be your partner, to be worthy of you? And then, you know, sit patiently while you listen to a very long list. Oh, he needs to be like this, he needs to be like this, he needs to have achieved this, he needs to be doing this. And, you know, if he fulfills all those criteria, then yeah, now I'll be with him, you know? And then, just like the interviewer asked this woman, ask her in all sincerity what she's going to offer a man in return. Be prepared for the same speechless response, as women will not know what to say.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities right here, why don't you own an apartment building? Seriously, let me show you a path that could absolutely change your life and unlock financial freedom. You might be thinking right now, listen, Tyler, I don't have millions and millions of dollars sitting in a bank account. Hell, I don't even know what a good deal would look like or how to get started. And that's okay, because just for a second, I want to challenge you to think bigger than you've ever thought before. Because in just a minute, I'm going to give you the exact process that I've taught my students to use every single day to create their real estate empire by owning these big apartment complexes.
That silence is actually deeply revealing of just how much sexism exists in our culture towards men. And perhaps worse than that, worse than the existence of that sexism.
Damn right, sexism towards men, the dirty double standards with feminism and today's rotten negative confrontational attitude that these women have.
Is just how unconscious women are of their own sexism. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's start with the basics. Let me tell you something that maybe nobody's ever told you before, which is that romantic love is transactional. Anybody who is expecting their partner to love them unconditionally, to just love them no matter what, feels that way because they were not properly loved by their own parents. They have a frozen emotional need, and so they turn their partner into a surrogate parent and then try and fix their childhood issues by shaming their partner in them unconditionally. And yes, it is exactly as messed up as it sounds, turning your romantic partner into a surrogate parent. It's incredibly toxic, it's codependent, and in time, it will inevitably become abusive. Because at a core level, it's trying to judge a fish by its tree. The love of a romantic...
Oh, the Commodore just left. I thought this video was very enlightening to men. What the hell did he just leave for? He just split. It's not yet time for him to go to the gymnasium.
Relationship was never meant to be the same kind of love that you see in a parent-child relationship. A good mother does love her child unconditionally, at least for the early years. And it's been well established that children do need that. That meets a developmental need that they have. But as they get older, they mature, they grow up. Adults who are raised by healthy, well-adjusted parents don't crave unconditional love in their romantic relationships because they understand that was a need they had when they were a toddler. They don't need that as an adult. They understand that romantic love is different in substance because romantic love is transactional in its nature. It has to be because romantic love is voluntary. Nobody's forcing you to become someone's boyfriend or girlfriend, and it doesn't make sense to voluntarily spend your life with somebody unless you are selfishly receiving a benefit. Men and women in romantic relationships trade with each other. I'll bring this to the relationship if you bring that to the relationship. I need you to bring a little bit more of that, but if you do, I'm prepared to bring a little bit more of this. And if we both think that we're getting a good deal, then we'll go ahead with the relationship and it will serve both of our interests. Modern women like this one have a 50% understanding of that. She understands on her end that it makes no sense for her to be in a relationship with a man unless he's bringing some tangible improvements to her life. In order for her to commit, she needs to know that it's selfishly going to be in her best interest to be with him. That part she understands. She's got that 50% absolutely down. But the missing 50% is where she is meant to serve her husband and his needs. When you ask modern women, what are you going to do to improve the life of the man that you're with? What are you going to bring to the table? What are you going to offer him? That's where you get that error message where it's like, it doesn't compute. This question makes no sense. I'm the woman. I'm meant to receive. I'm not meant to give. And that's why I say that modern women in this culture have a deep, toxic, unconscious sexism against men. We saw examples of that in my course. So where does sexism come from? And why does nobody seem to notice how sexist the average woman is? Why does no one talk about it? A lot of it goes back to the lack of understanding about the transactional nature of relationships and a misdiagnosis of the dynamics behind traditional marriages. A lot of what we're seeing now is this backlash against this false narrative. So let me unpack this. Radical feminists railed against the traditional marriage structure. They called it exploitative and controlling. You think of like a typical 1950s, husband and housewife. Now, there's an argument to be made that when gender roles are too strictly enforced by a culture, it is unnecessarily restrictive on personal liberty. But my God, the overcorrection in the modern era is insane. And frankly, the demonization of the men of the past is disgusting. The painting of all married men in the past as these toxic, controlling, abusive patriarchs who exploited their wives is fucked up. That is a deeply sexist narrative. And it's just plain wrong. Let's look at traditional marriages through the lens of a transactional relationship and see how it stacks up. Okay, what are your expectations of a traditional man? Provide the money. Don't hit her. Don't cheat on her. It's pretty basic. It's pretty low expectations. But, back in the day, as long as a man fulfilled those criteria, he was considered a good man and it benefited her. Of course it did. That's why women back in the day wanted to get married, because
provide the money is not, my friend, low expectation. I beg to differ, especially these days with the astronomical price gouging, high cost of living.
The marriage would provide safety, security, dignity, respect from her friends and neighbors. And what did she provide in return? Gratitude, housekeeping, all the cooking and cleaning, raising children, sex. These elements formed the basic transaction that so many couples made. Their pair bonding was concretized using these elements as the cement. Hey, husband, you go out into the world, you take your masculine energy, and then you trade your labor for some money, and then you bring that money back and spend it on the household. Hey, wife, okay, I'll do that, but I'm out here working hard, so while I'm working, can you make sure that everything in the house is clean, that the children are being raised properly, and that there's a hot meal on the table when I get back from work? That's it. It's not that controversial. That was the trade being made. It's not the radical exploitation that feminists were making it out to be. Both parties were benefiting from this transaction.
And yes, as much as it pisses them off, it is their job. Because if they're not working, helping to pay the bills, sharing the bills with the man in their life, they're home. Well, what do they expect? To do nothing? It is their job. Being a homemaker and a mother and a wife is their job. Otherwise, go back to work and help pay the bills and pay half of the rent or half of the mortgage and half of the gas and electric bill and the cable and the car insurance and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, they got to do something to contribute.
You could say that the woman's life was pretty boring, being stuck at home and doing all of that housework. But I mean, yeah, the man's life going to some factory or office job, it's pretty boring too. This is not
boring. It's boring. It's redundant. They have to put up with bullshit and possibly verbal abuse from some asshole douchebag supervisor, you know, or CEO or something, yeah, the man has to fight traffic to get to work. In his commuting, if it's winter, he has to dig the snow from his car and chop the ice off the chop and scrape the ice off the windshield before he deals with the traffic of going to work and commuting, or dealing with the public transportation to get to work. Yeah, the man has to put up a lot of bullshit, and women want you to feel sorry for them. You know, all right, feminists want women not to be housewives and homemakers and mothers. They want women to have careers, to go out in the workforce and have or be self-employed or work. You know what? You want to do that? Fine. Pay half of the living expenses. That's it. Otherwise, show them where the front door is. This is a great red pill video for this show. And I'm really kind of surprised that the Commodore left so fast.
A story of exploitation. Both genders suffered under their roles, but they're working together. They're creating this partnership in order to benefit each other and themselves. But somehow this awful sexist narrative that marriage was inherently exploitative and, you know, men were controlling women through the institution of marriage, that's what went mainstream. That's what people believed. My guess is that there were probably enough examples of genuinely horrible men who treated their wives like property and were like abusive to them, that there was enough ammunition for feminists to point to those examples and then paint the whole concept of traditional monogamy and commitment as though it reflected those fringe cases.
Former CIA official warns deadly strike coming to America's power grid. Can you keep your family safe when the lights go out? A former
And maybe it wasn't fringe, maybe it was 10, 20, 30%, I don't know. But whatever the number, if you ask modern women coming up in the culture today what their opinion of those traditional marriages were, they'll all tell you the same thing. That was back when women were treated like slaves and they were abused by men and they were exploited. That's their perception of what that marriage was. No concept of the actual transaction that was being made. If you ask them about the suffering that the men might have encountered in fulfilling their role of the bargain, you know, how hard it was to go out to work, to have all those financial responsibilities on his shoulders, any of the suffering that came with his roles, it's completely dismissed, negligible, unimportant. You know, we don't care about men's suffering. But the woman's suffering, she had to do all that housework. She was bored, sitting alone. Her children sometimes acted terrible to deal with that. Oh my God. Protect them. Protect the precious women. And conveniently, we'll also completely ignore all of the benefits that marriage brought to a woman's life. It even got to the point where you had radical feminists claiming that motherhood was a form of exploitation of men, a way to keep women enslaved and in bondage. Motherhood is exploitation of women. Think about that. Think about how twisted and far from reality you have to go before you can say something like that with a straight face. And so for modern women who sincerely believe, you can why they can't just, for the old transaction, you do your masculine part, I'll do my feminine part. Because to them, that seems like exploitation. That seems like slavery. It's sexist. It's exploitation. I'm a modern woman. I need more. So specifically, what do modern women want? You know, you ask them, what are you expecting? Well, I'll tell you one thing, they're still expecting to be financially taken care of. Despite all the claims of gender equality, if you ask a woman how she wants her husband to spend his time, she's going to talk about his job, about how much money he's going to be bringing home. I've never met a woman who asked, what's your ideal man in the future? Her saying, oh, I don't want him to work. I want him to stay home and be a house husband and raise the money. Women to provide the money. Watch this clip.
What would your husband's income be?
Like 200,000 plus 200 to 50.
Oh, gee.
Probably like 100K and up.
If the average is like 50, maybe like 70 plus.
70 plus. What do you chickie poos bring to the table? If you expect a man who's financially independent or high income to be interested in you, and marry you and be loyal to you. What do you females bring to the table?
Okay.
I guess maybe like 80K.
Okay.
His income should be something close to about 160,000.
I would like to say maybe 100,000 at least. Yeah.
This is so high, but I guess you'd have to be like a millionaire.
A million.
So they all give different answers. Some of those women, I mean, the entitlement and hypergamy is just off the charts. But what they all have in common that they don't even question is, yeah, my husband has to work. He has to be making money.
So I thought this girl was working out like crazy, but she wasn't. I met her yesterday at the gym, and I asked her, how do you look so great?
Hasn't changed. That traditional expectation is absolutely still there. But if a man thinks that that's all that's expected of him is those traditional masculine roles, he's just got to bring home a paycheck and, don't hit her, don't cheat on her, and that's going to be enough, he's delusional. Modern women need equality, which specifically means he needs to do equal work in all the areas that were traditionally a woman's role. Equality means the man needs to do half of the cleaning, half of the shopping, half of the cooking, half of the parenting. That's what equality looks like. But I actually wouldn't argue that that's the biggest additional expectation on top of men from the traditional days. No, the biggest new expectation from women of their boyfriends and husbands is that that man is going to be there to meet all of her emotional needs. That's new. It didn't used to be that way, but if you are her husband, then you're expected to listen to every thought, every feeling, every opinion, every emotion she's experiencing. And you have to respond perfectly. And if what she's going through is quite distressing to her, it's your job as the man to fix it. I hate to sell out my own gender here, but us men, we're not particularly good at doing that. Deep conversations that are, highly emotional and require a lot of introspection, yeah, that's not our strong point. But still, that is now part of the minimum expectations for a man. So if you think that you can just be nice to her and hand her some middle class, paycheck each week, and then you've done your duty, you're kidding. The expectations and requirements for men has risen so much. It's still all the money that you need to provide, but now it's also half of all the domestic chores and meeting almost all of her emotional needs too. It's a lot, and it especially stings that we exist in a culture that paints men as though they're these awful sexist leeches, when men are doing so much more now than they ever did in the past. You've never had anything like the culture as it exists now. There's never been a time in history where men have done more to serve women's needs. And yet at the same time, it seems like there's never been a greater level of vitriol towards men. It's one of the reasons why at some point you just start tuning out all the complaints about men, because you think, look, there's no acknowledgement of the progress that's already been made. So it just seems like, there's no winning. The desire for men to do more and more and more, it just seems insatiable. And this is why you have so many men who just look at modern marriages and relationships and say, it's not worth it. This transaction sucks. I'm getting a bad deal.
The juice is just not worth the squeeze, gentlemen. You're if you were investing money, you would bail out because the return would be horrible.
The requirements for men has risen so much, and at the same time, the expectations for women have sunk. There is less expectation on women to solely do the housework, the cooking, the cleaning, the shopping, the parenting. And if you even remotely suggest that it might be a wife's duty to attend to her husband's sexual needs, God help you. So for everything that men are offering women, what exactly are they getting in return? Let's watch the video again. It's so funny.
So I think the bigger question, because you have these high standards for your man, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you prepared to offer him?
Well, myself.
What do you think that you, okay.
Why does this make me laugh so much? Men, are you paying attention? Her silence speaks volumes. So here is my advice. If you are dating someone and you are considering making them your wife, Be explicit about what you're trading with each other. Romantic relationships are transactional, and so lay out the terms of the deal as clearly as you can. Have the conversations, talk about it. This is what I am offering, and this is what I would like in return. The true love is unconditional myth is total bullshit. It's just used by women who want to manipulate men into getting stuff we're not having to give anything back. Getting married is a huge deal, and I want you to get a good deal, so lay out the terms. Do not settle for vague answers. Have her actually lay it out. Okay, if we team up, if we do this thing, if we create a marriage, we partner up like this, I'm going to be contributing this. I'm going to be contributing my respect, my companionship, my fidelity, this much of the housework, this much of the parenting. I don't know the exact details about what you want out of your marriage and what your vision is for your life going into the future, so that's not for me to actually dictate the terms of your deal. I'm just saying, make a deal, talk about it, find out exactly what you're signing up for. If you don't, you might accidentally wife up a girl who has this unconscious belief that it's her role as a woman to get served by you, whereas she should do nothing in return. Too many men are underestimating the value of what they're bringing into a relationship. You're giving up your freedom, you're giving up a huge amount of money, you're giving up, like, there's an opportunity cost, all these other options that you could have pursued, but you didn't because you chose her. That's a big deal. You're giving up a lot. Please make sure that you're not giving it up for nothing. Make sure you're getting something good in return. Do not make the trade unless you perceive that you are receiving something of equal or greater value. Now, this dynamic can get a lot more complicated when you have women in the workforce, because it's like, right, well, I'm the man, I'm providing the money, but she also has a job and she's providing money. And so how does this upset the balance of gender roles and what you're trading with each other? I answer that question in the full version of this video. I actually go into a lot of detail. It's a nuanced topic. If you want to see how that disrupts the balance of a relationship, if you want the answer to that question, come over to Patreon. You can see the full version of this video. What you're seeing here on YouTube, this is just the shortened, abridged version.
Nah, it's simple, my friend. It's simple. If she's working and you're working, and even if you're making a lot more than she is making, let's say the man has a career that's paying a high salary, and the woman has a job in retail. She might be an assistant manager. She might be a store manager, or she might be a cashier. Okay, of course, you're not going to expect her to pay 50% of the bills. So her contribution should be equal to her salary and compared to him. And also, you should not have a champagne taste with a beer wallet if you're a couple. Never live beyond your means. Okay, because you will be in debt, which is not good. If you don't have the cash, it really was never meant to be. All right, so, but if she's a career woman making a high salary, and you are not making anywhere near what she's making, then you do the same thing except the opposite. You know, then the husband would pay for less, or maybe the husband would pay the gas and electric bill, the cable TV, and then, you know, the internet or something like that, and then she would pay for the rest. You know, it's really not complicated, you know. So I don't know where this guy gets that it's a complicated situation when the man and the women are working. You know, it's just it's common sense accounting. You know, that's all. But see, the problem is, let's say you come to an agreement before you get married, right? And you do exactly what that guy said. Come to an agreement, and she says, okay, that sounds fair. You give a hug and a kiss. You're not shaking hands because it's your girlfriend. You know, hug and a kiss. Say, okay, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. The problem is once you get married, that's when it becomes complicated, especially if you have a child, because the law always favors the woman in the courts, and the man gets screwed over. So, you know, it's like, all right, Donald Trump, not to bring up Donald Trump, but, you know, a very rich man would have the female sign a prenuptial agreement. If she doesn't want, if you have big bucks and the girl doesn't want to sign a prenuptial agreement, don't get married to her. Don't get married. Okay, so let's say she signs it, and then later on, let's say the marriage doesn't work out, and you know, she wants a divorce and everything. She could. The women are favored so much in society that she can contest the prenuptial agreement. That's not fair. These are the dirty, low down, underhanded double standards of feminism today. Okay, so that's it. Bart Robinson, you are absolutely correct in your statement. And people know exactly what Bart Robinson is saying. I don't have to say that word, but Bart Robinson is correct, and I agree with him. Just like my Italian grandfather used to say, scuma. They are scuma, which means scum. They stink on ice, he used to say. They stink on ice, which is pretty rotten, rancid fish. If the fish stink on ice, that's pretty bad. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Collectively, everyone. Bart Robinson, Sid, Ethan, the Commodore Jeff Zambello. Let's see who else. Tommy Carroll. So I don't forget people. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for my Sunday afternoon open topic talk and red pill show. I don't know what the fuck happened to Ronnie Simpson of Clearwater, Florida. His wife probably nagged him, you know, probably saying, it's Sunday. Don't go live with your male friends. It's Sunday. You know, it's you're supposed to spend quality time with me on Sunday. Wah, 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 wah. Or he could be at the pool in Clearwater, Florida. He could be, you know, at the cabana next to the in-ground pool down there, you know, because of the weather. It's possible. Maybe it's not even his wife's fault, but you know what? I bet he gets an earful from his wife. Guaranteed. The other guy that used to do shows with me, well, at the time we were very close friends, very dedicated progressive, Mr. Jason Cleveland of Seattle, Washington. You know, his wife would constantly complain and tell him what to do nonstop, control his life in every way possible, you know, and complain that he was doing a live stream show with me. And I know other men in the same situation that have a significant other that they're cohabitating with. Okay, men have to set boundaries. No, I'm not going to give up my hobbies and interests. No, I'm not going to give up my close friends. No, I'm not going to abandon my family. The women wouldn't do that. No, you're not better than me because you're a female. No, you don't deserve to be entitled. Yeah, men have to set the boundaries. You got to draw a line in layman's terms. Bart Robinson says, hopefully Ronnie's getting some and not baking cookies. Yeah, hopefully Ronnie's not baking cookies with an apron on. Nag, nag, nag. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Complain, complain, complain. But when you first start dating them, they're very nice to you, though. You notice that. But you wouldn't dare burp or fart in front of them at the beginning. But, once you get to know each other, you can let it rip. But then the nagging starts. And usually it's because of money. Good morning, Masumi, my dear, from southeastern Japan, from Chiba Prefecture, Japan. Good morning to you. You caught me on the end of the show. I'm ready to close the show, but at least you're here. Thank you for coming, Masumi. I appreciate it. So we have international fans. And Bart Robinson also says, Masumi, greetings from Bart Robinson. Okay. And I will close the show in 30 seconds, about 30 seconds. Hello, Robinson. He's not Robinson Crusoe that was marooned on the island with his South Pacific Polynesian friend named Friday. No, not that Robinson. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a pleasant Sunday evening and have a equally pleasant beginning of a new week. I know Monday is really not the most popular day of the week, especially if you work in an office. People dread Monday, but I don't have that issue for my situation. Have a great evening. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Yes, spring is here. The daffodils are out, and just a matter of time before the tulips and the crocus and the azalea bushes and the dogwood trees will bloom, and the pansies. Must not forget the pansies. There's a lot of pansies that didn't make it to the show today. But the pansy is the flower that looks like a man with really thick, bushy eyebrows and a big mustache. If you ever take a good look at a pansy flower, but the good thing about tulips is they love a cool spring. So if you have a big tulip bed in your front yard with beautiful colored tulips, they love a cool spring. If it gets hot, they're short-lived. They go limp. All right, people. I am now going to decide what Chinese food to order. That's my usual tradition. When I do the Sunday show, I don't cook because it's too late. So I order Chinese to be delivered, and I will decide what I want. And I guess my next show will be Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Progressive Discussions. And God willing, another Sunday open topic talk show. So take care, everyone. And don't forget, I am all over social media under Progressive Discussions. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and TikTok. So subscribe and join me wherever I am. The bulk of my information and data, my main hub, so to speak, the hub of the wheel is the Progressive Discussions Facebook page. Okay.